Welcome to Focus on Business, a podcast show for photographers with me, your host, Jane Goodrich. I'm talking to successful photographers so you can learn from our experiences and have the business of your dreams. So join us and let's focus on business. Today, I'm really excited for our guest. It's Miranda Eorio, and I'm very happy that she came because she has a little one, just 3 children, but just has a little one 5 weeks ago. So thank you for taking the time. I know you must be really tired. You look amazing. Yeah, I didn't look like that. I couldn't even brush my hair when my daughter was 5 weeks old. I can get out of bed. Definitely not doing a podcast and a video recording. So my hats off to you. I just want to jump right in and have you tell our audience and our listeners about you and all your photography business and just.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, my name is Miranda. I have been a photographer for since my daughter was probably 1. And she's 10.
And your oldest, yes. So
yeah, my oldest. So yes. It sounds so weird to even say I've been a photographer for 9 years now. But I've only been good at it for probably about 6, which is very normal. But I wanted to jump into being a family photographer because I realized how few pictures I had of my daughter. I'm like, I can absolutely do this. This is so easy. I'm going to pick up my camera, get more pictures of my family, do this for other people. Newsflash, it wasn't easy at all. But now I am a full-time family photographer. I have a schedule that benefits my family and my life and my lifestyle. And it is so important just to have that goal. It's for me personally to have that family photography business that works for me and I'm not working for it. So, that's me in a nutshell, basically. My life is my kids and my photography. And
husband, maybe?
No. He takes the back seat. No. So you have family and then
he
family
can fend for himself. No, he can fend for himself, right?
Exactly.
You have to look after the business and you look after the kids. He can fend for himself.
Exactly. Yeah, he's present. So, but it's been so rewarding and scary and an absolute roller coaster to get here. So I love talking to, all of my students really and other people about how they can build this business for themselves and it not be so scary, not be so intimidating for them.
And you also do education too, right? So you not just a family photographer, you help other photographers with their business. And is that primarily family photographers or is it, any photographer that is listening?
So really on different levels. It could be, wedding photographers, but I focus on family photographers because that's what I do. I know I can, I have this proven method, a proven system. I know those words are keywords that people are so tired of hearing, but that's what it is. Just so I've worked with other family photographers to grow their income, to, like I said, just make the journey not so intimidating and scary. And when we start thinking about things like cost of doing business and taxes and everything, we just shut down. It's too much information. So just having people, hold your hand, walk beside you and show you how not to just get so overwhelmed. It's been a blessing and a blessing for me early on in my business, and I want to pass that on to other family photographers too. So
that's amazing because I do think one of the things that when you're a newer photographer, you get into it because it looks like it's a really good balance. It can help. Maybe you're easy money. Yeah, it looks easy money. And I think we get into it for the craft and the fun and the freedom and the flexibility. And when you then hit taxes and sales tax and stuff, and I'm really good with numbers. I have an MBA. I developed a calculator and taxes of this go to my accountant. Don't want to deal with it. Sales tax annoys me when I have to do the online thing. Like, there's just certain things that we just don't like to do. So if someone can help you with that, I'm lucky that day one I hired an accountant and a bookkeeper. I was like, you know what, I know that it's a business. I know that I need that taken care of. Otherwise, I will mess something up, you know. And they have ended up saving me more money than like even, you know, it looks scary, you know, like when you're like, hey, I'm going to be paying an accountant this amount, but they have kept on top of any law changes. And he's like, oh, even this year, like, this is what we can apply for because you did this. Or, I mean, I didn't know about depreciating a loss of a home that I sold for, like, all this stuff. They save you so much money. So that's my thing. So speaking of like going back in time, if you were to start your photography business again, I mean, life is a journey. I know we wouldn't change things, but it's more thinking of like, what would you do differently if you were to start your business again now?
Yes. Okay. So and I've been thinking about these types of questions because something could happen. You know, we could move to California, we could move to Florida or Hawaii, and then we have to start all over. But 10 years ago, if I could go back to my younger self and say, hey, this is what you need to do so that you're not wasting the first 4 years, it would be to invest in education. And as an educator, like saying that, I'm sure people are just like, well, of course, that's what you would say, like invest in education, like, but it's so important. And I'm not saying that you have to invest money right away, but investing your time in learning what you don't know. And there is so much that you don't even know you don't know. Right. So, but joining Facebook groups, joining Facebook groups intentionally is so important. You know, investing that time into learning either your craft or breaking down the cost of doing business or, you know, just X, Y, and Z, so many different things. I probably be the most important thing so that you're not wasting time, because time is, and I can go on about this forever, but you can always make more money, but you can never, you know, make more time, you know?
Right. I don't think it's just you're saying it as an educator. You're coming at it from what you wanted. I mean, I was lucky. I have an MBA. I worked in advertising. I came into this business with a lot more business side of education, of the photography side that I see. And also in 2008, when I was like really looking into it, there was very clear information how to start a business. It's not now, it's all over the place. There's so much information. And like the Facebook groups, I agree. I think I would veer on the ones that have drama, and, you know, the ones that are giving you pricing advice, I would veer off unless you know that they have been in business and they're profitable. That's the one thing that I really don't like, is like people giving pricing advice when they don't have a sustainable business. But
yeah,
I think the importance of investment, and I will say you have to think of this as a business, you know, and I'm just interjecting here because a lot of photographers go into it thinking it's a job when really it's actually a business. So investing in the business side, think of it, I use the hair care industry as an example, primarily because I was extremely jealous of them during COVID because they had so much support and we didn't. But if you look at their path to owning their own business, is they go to school to learn the craft and then they apprentice. So the apprentice side of it, they're not getting paid much. So they're investing their time and loss of income because they're really not getting paid that well. But they're investing in learning how the business works, dealing with customers, dealing with that. We don't have that as an industry. And so, so I think that's a way. I mean, I think I think everybody goes to the investing in the craft. Like, that's fine. But the investing in the running a business needs to be a little bit more up to ante. And that's how you can get someone like an educator that has done it before, or a course where someone's going to take you through how to like run a business. But so I do think it is an investment. We have to think of this as a business and not a job. And so I don't think you're just saying it because you're an educator. And so I'm coming to your defense, Miranda. As anyone's listening to it, I think it is a business. if you were to open a storefront or you were going to be a plumber, you would probably have to get out a loan from the bank. You'd have to have a business plan. It's the same thing here, but probably don't have to get out a loan. But like, you have to still think that you're going to have investment in your business. And part of that is learning the business and the craft.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember when I was first starting out, I would have like these notebooks, and I would say, okay, to go full time, this is what I need. I need this camera. I need a backup camera. And this is before mirrorless came out. I would need these 3 lenses. I need this much for insurance. And I would just like list everything. I would just word vomit basically, and just get everything onto like these notebooks. And then as I would get those things, I would cross them off. And I'm like, okay, I'm one step closer to going full time. And
if you add up the startup costs of going full time, you got to figure out how you're paying those back.
Yeah.
And also, one of the things that we see a lot is like, well, I don't have any costs. We have future costs. That camera's going to die. You're going to need a new lens. Your computer's going to die. You're going to need insurance, all that stuff. So there is a lot of investment. So to charge correctly off the bat, because you've made all this investment in your time learning the craft, you still can do it. And I can guarantee you, like, you looked at my work, do not do a Google image search like in work. It's not about the end result, really. You still can charge a profitable rate, even if you're charging $15 an hour at the end of the day. Like, but make sure that you're doing a calculator that includes costs and includes time for editing and all that stuff. It's not just $15 a session. So
right,
that for me is like very important to, and that you have enough volume to make that salary. But yeah, I love that. So you mentioned before, like, you want to move to Hawaii or something. If you were tomorrow, you're like, hey, in 3 months, we have to move to Hawaii. Mm-hmm. What's just the one thing that you would do first? What's the first thing that you would do?
I would join local mom groups on Facebook. And I say that I would do that because, and when I was first starting my business here in Central PA, people would say, hey, I'm looking for a photographer. I'd throw my name in the hat, in the comment section. And not always were those clients, willing to pay that $500, $600, $700, $800 that my session fee is. It was more like $150, $180, things like that, which is exactly where I was when I was first starting off, doing the $75 mini sessions. But to get your name out there, start in those Facebook groups, to kind of veer people, like direct them to your website, where then you can start adding them to your email list. Like it is a process. And the very first step of being successful and like getting those people into, like, they get their foot into the door of your business is, in my personal opinion, would be those Facebook groups, because everybody's on Facebook. Not everybody, but 90% of probably your ideal client, I'm sure you could find them on Facebook somewhere. So that's probably exactly where I would start. Just
especially coming from a family photographer. One of the things that I think about Facebook groups is that you have to have the right mindset going into these mom Facebook groups. I mean, I was, I haven't, I'm definitely not undercharging. So, but going in there and people asking for cheap photographers, someone tags me. There are days where I'm like, why'd you tag me? I'm definitely not,
Yeah, but they're not my ideal client. I'm not their ideal photographer.
Everybody sees that I'm recommended by 1 million people. They don't, and then like, oh, your name, I recognize your name. I saw you on Facebook groups. And it was like, it wasn't the original posters. I asked them if they see photographers come up in groups to recommend me. And then if I somehow see it, I now just took off the local mom groups for my mental health. And so, but they will still continue to, and I'll thank them for it. And so you kind of let your tribe do your marketing for you once you get going.
Absolutely.
So what is your favorite form of marketing? Because marketing covers a lot of things. So
it does. I mean, that could be anything from, now this isn't my favorite, just in general, could be like paid Facebook ads to, the Facebook groups. I am going to say that it's tied between word of mouth referrals and my VIP past client Facebook group. So my Facebook group is different than my Facebook page. It's where I really serve all my past and, potential clients, potential future clients. I am always in that group, talking to them, loving on them, serving them, where they are in their life. And that is really, like I said, tied with the referrals, because both bring in, I want to say my referrals bring in more clients than just that Facebook group, but they are intertwined. The clients feel so loved and served after and before and during our session. And my name is always there. It's always popping up.
Yeah.
So they're always seeing it. And then they say, hey, you know what? My sister is looking for a photographer. Like, our session with you was great. Your name is constantly popping up on Facebook. Let me refer you to her. So it's just, referrals are an amazing source of clients for me. Now, back in the early days when I was doing the $50, $75 sessions, those referrals were bringing in other $75, $50 referrals.
Yeah.
Obviously not ideal at the time, but it helped me get started. It helped me, like you said, learn the craft. And it really helped me learn the business and how unsustainable that was. Right. Learning the hard way, like I said.
Yeah.
But those, definitely.
I love that. I mean, I've done the VIP group. Definitely word of mouth for me as well. Like, I love that. But I love the VIP group, one, because you get so much more reach from it in terms of like eyeballs,
Yes.
I would get like 80% read of a post versus if I posted on my Facebook page, I'd get like 3% read.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I like it. They feel part of something. You can give them first dibs on a release, like I always, I send out a lot of emails too. So, but like knowing that they are my VIPs and knowing that they are the repeat clients, it increases retention as well. And so like they just feel, I love that. We talked about like at the beginning, you mentioned something about like why family photography and how it works for your family. I mean, you have a newborn right now, so it's probably out the window, but I'd love to hear different stories of like how people balance it, because I feel like I'm never getting it right.
Who knows if you can ever really get it right long term. I mean, if it works now, it works for now, and then you're just going to have to, it has to be fluid, because your life is constantly changing. So I just came back from maternity leave, took a couple weeks off now that I'm feeling myself again, finally. We're kind of implementing my old schedule, or the schedule I had before it. So Monday, right now, get the girls onto the school bus, do whatever I have to do with Christopher. And then for 2 or 3 hours in the morning, I'm answering emails. And I'm doing this in the morning because that's when I have the most energy. That's when I feel like, okay, I can go, do a little sprint. And I feel like my brain is all there right now. And during the newborn phase, your brain is never all there. So this is the best I can get right now. But I try to only work for about 3 to 4 hours a day. And that includes blogging, posting, scheduling posts out in my VIP group on Facebook, on Instagram, answering emails, blah, 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 doing everything I need to do. Because I find that if I drag it on for 6, 7, 8 hours, if I'm not blocking my time, I'm wasting my time. I'm sitting there. I mean, I might as well just be working at a desk job again, or at another job that I am just wasting my time. I'm not working with my family. I'm not present. So blocking my time. But I do that, probably work between 2 to 4 hours, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because I want to, Yeah. I want to be present and engaged in my business too. So I do that. My shoots right now normally fall on the weekend, just because with my ideal client, their kids are still in school. And I don't request that they bring their kids out of school just for a session or things like that. So we just work around that right now. It'll probably take me about a total of 2 to 3 hours to cull, edit, upload a session. Then comes the work of just everything else, like the post session process. And that's just a whole other beast.
Yeah. So that does that sort of, so your shoots right now are the weekends, and then the during the week is so the admin, even the editing and the color, and they get that. So you need a day off do you block any day off? Is it Sunday or is it, like, do you try?
So
or is that the sacrifice of working 2 to 4 hours? You can just, you're pacing yourself enough.
So that's a good question. I think, and like I said, I just came back from maternity leave, so I'm trying to think of what I did before, but it was basically just very fluid. Like if this week I'm just like, you know what, I've already scheduled my posts for the next like 2 weeks. I don't really need to be present in my business because automation and, other things that I've already planned.
Yeah.
So I don't have it in me today. I just don't want to be at a computer. I can just walk away.
Yeah.
So, and that works for me because I am like ADHD.
Me too.
To the max. I'm like, there's no way. So,
well, especially, So just to give a tip a little bit, and you didn't mean to interrupt, on the ADHD, that's why I interrupt. I have ADHD, you listeners, in case you hadn't figured out, is time blocking, I think, is a very good tactic for anybody that's working for themselves, but especially for ADHD. But you also have to realize if you have had a really busy day where you've like gone, you're probably not gonna, and you're dopamine deficient the next day, you're gonna drag. See, I actually, I'm pretty fluid because that is because I don't know when those crashes will come, right? Yes. So when I'm like, I was speaking to a friend who she'd done some event on Saturday, and she's like, I'm not productive, I hate myself, kind of thing. I was like, yeah, because you were gearing up for the event, you've been around people for a long time, and you just need to decompress. And so I've realized that is like to try and build in, I'm getting better at like knowing sort of my triggers of like, okay, well, I've had a lot of people that day. I've had a lot of high pressure things. My adrenaline's been running. I'm not going to be as productive today. So let me do these tasks on that day, or take a walk to try and, increase my dopamine. But that's definitely, and spreading it out like that, like over the week is actually, for me, people are like, oh, you need a day off. I'm like, I don't know when my drive, my ADHD coach would say, like, sometimes you're in neutral and sometimes you're in fifth gear. Like there's sort of, and like having that thing where you are like going from neutral and you can't get out of neutral, you need to build it in. You need to build in the grace time. And so I think your schedule does that really well. So you're in family photography business and primarily, correct? Like, is that seasonal? And if it is seasonal, how do you cope with the seasonality of it?
It definitely is. Like a lot of photographers, we peak my business personally peaks in the fall, September, October, November. Weather is beautiful. The scenery is beautiful. And for a while, I had no idea how to measure that. And I'm like, okay, well, my rent is not just happening in September, October, November. Like, I need to figure it out. So I am constantly serving my clients. I love on them throughout the entire year. And then I offer things like mini sessions in the spring, or maybe we can do certain type of minis in January. I know one of my photographer friends, she offers like glitter minis, and I love those. Kate McCord, actually.
I love Kate.
She just did my maternity and my newborn session. And she has her own studio, so she offers that in like January, and I'm just like, that is so smart. And her minis aren't $50-$75. I mean, she prices them she's beautifully.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I'm not a mini session photographer. I talk too much. I like to get the kids, and so I wish I was, but I do headshots in January.
Yes.
For my area, it's people didn't get their bonus, and so they want a new job, or like the corporate companies are wanting to redo their headshots. And for me, coming out of a busy, because I'm a newborn family photographer, and newborns help spread it out a little bit.
Yes, absolutely.
The family in the fall just kicks you to like the curb with exhaustion. And so even if I only do my repeat clients in the fall because I just it's so much and they fill up the calendar anyway. And so headshots for me are kind of like, this is easy. I can do it. with my eyes closed.
Yeah.
Like, you need a corporate headshot? Like, here, like, I can do it. And so it helps steady the rent, and it sort of helps steady the, the income stream. But I also catch up with most of the marketing and stuff that I didn't do for the last, so I do use it as a catch up, or like, I'm going to plan my year, I'm going to plan my sessions. So one of the things is I like to ask the question of like, do you have any red flags when you sort of start interacting with a client and you're like, this person is not going to be for me?
Yes. So it's, a lot of it is like budget shopping. And I totally understand. And I would never hate on anybody for having a certain budget that they need to stick to. I mean, everybody does. And that it could vary so wildly. But there are just like words in their inquiry.
Yeah,
it's like, like quick. Like, I just need a quick session. Yes. Like, do you offer like a 15-minute session that we could just like do really quickly? Or I'm, working with this budget, cheap, fast, things that do not describe my brand. If they're not interested in following a style guide, like I have some clients who are amazing. Like their entire wardrobe is my style guide. It's better than my style guide. And I'm just like, oh my God, I love you guys. I have had some families in the past wanting to wear things like mismatched plaid or, and I love jeans. I wear jeans all the time, but it's more just like the very laid back, casual, like Steelers jersey, things like that. So if those types of things, it's just not my ideal client. I know people who those are their ideal client, and I pass on their names because every single family, no matter budget, style, anything, deserves those family photos.
Yeah.
And it's my job to help them, to pass on their information to people who can actually serve them better than I could serve them.
That's what I do. That. Yeah.
But it's definitely like those trigger words for me, almost little trigger words. Like,
yeah. And it's funny because I always like the ones that I feel like could be educators, like a quick photo, or my kids won't last, this, that, and the other. Like, that's the one, like, my kids won't last. And I was like, here's the deal. I don't know. You have 3 children. I don't know who's going to be walking in here, who's going to be, I call them hot, like coming in, ready to shoot. Mm-hmm. And then you have the shy one. And then you have I'm like, I need a photo. I need enough time to calm down the hot one to like the medium one's fine. And then warm up the other.
Yeah.
Because I literally need 2 minutes of that. And so that's why I build out the time. It's not to do with that they're not going to like it or like they're done. One kid would be done in 15 minutes, but the other 2 wouldn't. Some people appreciate that because they think like they're just like, okay. But if they're just looking for a quick, cheap shoot, then that's completely different. And then the one photo, does anyone see the Beyonce photo? Where it's just
like this is why you don't get
and then this is like her, and it's like, okay, you want one photo, right? Yeah, I can give you one photo, but I'm going to take more because you need to warm up to the camera in order to get what I want to give you as a representation of my art.
It's an exciting experience.
Yeah, and it's an experience, but it's also like you can go and get a passport photo. That's one photo, right? But this is not a passport photo. This is an experience, and I want to capture you. So some of them, I feel like my red flags are where they're like, I need you here now, or how much, ? I'm like, okay.
Ooh, yes. Like, and I forgot all about that because I haven't had clients or like potential like inquiries do that to me for a long time. Every time I get an inquiry and I know you are my people, it is like a little paragraph of like, oh, like this is the date that we really love. Like, this is why it means so much to me. It's like an anniversary or, things like that. And then they're just like telling me about their family. Like, oh, Jonathan loves like this, and that. And they feel so connected to me that they just open up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like through an inquiry sheet on my email or on my website through email. Yeah. And I'm just like, this is beautiful. I already know that this relationship is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
So.
And that's like, it's interesting you say that because we added that as a question on like Picsello's contact form for people to put on the website. Is like, basically it forces them to write something else. So you can actually see if like someone's like, I've been following you for like 2 years now. I've been dreaming about, I mean, I had this one woman where I was crying on the inquiry form, and she's like, I didn't want to reach out because I had twins. I was pregnant with twins and there was complications, but I just kept looking at your Instagram of twins and that was keeping me going. And
oh my God.
And I was like, was I triggering you because I was posting a lot of twins, because I shoot a lot of newborn twins? And she was like, no, it kept me going because I knew I wanted those photos of my kids. And I was like, are you going to book?
Yeah.
I think you're going to book. From that email, I'm like, I think you're going to book.
So there's already that connection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's amazing the path basically that our potential clients follow just to get to us. Like before they even inquire, they're connecting with us on social media, maybe through email, through all of these things where they're seeing our faces and we're telling them, about this experience. And then they already feel so close to us before they even reach out.
Right.
And then, it's just going to click. Just that relationship.
And that was even back in where I sort of like, now I'm trying to do a little bit more, video and stuff like that, even on my website. But I had nothing. That was just the final images. And so I was like, okay, I think a friend had used me. That's what it was. But so we're getting close to the end. Tell me if you have any, like the funniest shoot or the worst shoot, or like just make us laugh. You have a funny shoot where you're like, oh my gosh, I could not believe this happened on the shoot. Or are there so many?
I know. I'm thinking through like hundreds, and I'm just like, oh gosh. There's one that I will always remember as like one of my very first shoots ever. I just got my camera. It was a Pentax K50. I don't even think they make those cameras anymore. It was an awful camera, but I love it because it was my first. So I had this family. They probably had about 5 kids. That I charged them $50, but they only paid $40 because they're just like, oh, we only have 20s, and they were paying cash. And I was joking. I'm just like, oh, haha, I'll just take the 60. And they kind of like paused. I'm like, I was joking. I'm sorry, I'm not good at that. Like 40 is totally fine. For an entire family session, they had 5 kids. Like I said, $40 for this.
No.
Don't even get me started. So,
no.
So I was doing that, and it was cold out, and we were at this local park, and it's absolutely beautiful. I still shoot at that park. And they just kept putting their jackets back on, and I'm just like working with 2 kids, and then the others would put their jackets back on. So I'm taking pictures of them in their winter coats.
And half of them, not even all of them, right? Like,
yeah.
It's just like, all of you put your coats on. We'll take a winter coat jacket. All of you take it off.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I was so overwhelmed. And like, I think I delivered like 200 pictures from that gallery because that's what you're supposed to do. Like, if you can't tell, that was so sarcastic. But that was such a eye opener. I like got in the car. I called my husband. I'm like, that was so awful. And they were the sweetest people.
Right.
Because I didn't, they just weren't my ideal client. I didn't prep them enough. There was so much I didn't know.
Right.
To offer them that type of experience, to offer myself the right experience. I called my husband. I'm like, this is so terrible. I can't even do this. I don't even want to look at the gallery. I was so beside myself. And that was one of the times where I'm just like, I need to raise my prices. I need to get better. I need to know how to talk to people because I can't talk to people apparently. So I think that was awful.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things when you're new, you don't realize you are actually the director as well as the photographer. So you are directing them. You're not supposed to like be a clown to like, obviously
right.
Family photographers kind of feel like the clown, but like, we to some extent, if your parent, like the parents of the kids can't get the kids to laugh, you're not probably going to be able to. You're a random stranger. So there's some things that you can say, look, I'm struggling here. What, that's why in my prep shoots of like, what makes the kids laugh? Prep me beforehand. So I know that other songs they love and they're going to make them laugh. My ideal client is a relaxed working mom that wants me to take charge. And because mine, I do not like parents shouting at their kids. Like it triggers me. I don't like it. And so I'd had one where couple when I first started where they were shouting and I was like, you know what? I'm changing this. I am the boss of this shoot. Like I will not shout at children. We work on their time. which is why I don't have 15-minute shoots. We work on their time. I will not, but I'm not going to do positive parents, like I'm not going to like, okay, kid, you can do whatever you want, but I'm the boss. Let me handle it, and do not shout at your children during a photo shoot. And
you're right. It's very triggering for me too. I'm just like,
it's not going to work. The kids just get sad and cry. Like this one guy was like, Smile, what do you want? And I was like, how about this, Dad? Can you just let me do my job? And because I was like annoyed with this guy, and he was making me too upset because I was upset for the children. I was like, how about this, kids? Don't smile. How about don't smile? I'm going to tell the opposite. And they were crying, laughing. They were so happy. Yeah, and I actually think they were happy because I told off the dad. And I
probably like, oh, I wanted to do this for so long. Like, it is so hard to get those genuine reactions, like from kids. Hey, you are a stranger. So I have like these prompts that I always start with, and just to get the kids more comfortable. And honestly, I do like to do the full family portrait, the very first portrait that I do, because the kids are so shy, they're reserved. They're like, I want my mom to hold me right now. I want to stay close. And boom, you get that. And then you don't have to wrangle them back in at the very end of the shoot.
Yeah, no, they're done by the end of the shoot. Yeah, I mean, I do start off, because I also know that at the end of the day, if I don't get anything else, they want the family shot, right? So for me, it's like, I'm like, okay, they want everyone looking. We want the boring one for grandma. Yeah. Just get them looking and smiling. Do what you can. Once you've got that, then you can go off. But in my prep sheet, I say to them that they need to say that they're meeting a friend. Like, they're meeting my mom's friend, Jane. And we're going to have a photo play date, depending on the kids' ages. I end up having kids leave the studio. They're like, can we stay here all day and play? No. Yeah. Well, like, they asked for me. Like, during the pandemic, I really didn't shoot much in the fall because there's just a lot of stuff going on. And I get emails saying, kids say, they said it wasn't fall, like, without you. So, like my family. Okay, of course I'll do it again. Even though I have anemia and I can't hold the camera, I'll do it for you. But all right, we're wrapping up. I could talk to you all day. What is the one tip that you would give to a new photographer starting out? Because you start out at different, like, it's a little different time. So in 2024, what would you say? Your friend down the street, she's like, hey, I want to be a photographer. What should I do?
Circling back to almost exactly what I said before. If you had to choose between investing in glass, investing in like lenses and cameras over investing in education, do not stress about getting the newest camera, the best lens, like the 1.2 or the 1.4. It's okay to start off with, a basic camera setup, because I could take that Pentax, which is, again, they probably do not make it anymore. They're probably just like, scratch this from the website. Nobody has to know we ever did this. Like, I could take that, and with like my knowledge of golden hour or how the sun works, the technical pieces of photography, I could take that ugly, awful camera and make beautiful art.
I did a rebel.
Yes. Like, it's just do not stress about getting that $3,000 camera before you can start making beautiful portraits and before you can start being profitable. It is okay to start off with whatever you can afford.
Yeah.
Even if that's a $500 camera, $1,200 camera, whatever your budget is, it is not the end of the world. You learn those technical pieces first, and you will be successful. Like, absolutely. So please, 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 photography is stressful enough as a whole business. Like, when you're getting started, do not let that one overwhelm you to the point where you don't even start.
Yeah, well, you'd think, I'm not good enough because I don't have, the latest mirrorless, which I still want, but I have two Canon 5Ds Mark IV. I'm like, I can't. And then someone was like, trade them in. I'm like, but they're my babies.
Yes, exactly.
I can't give them away. Like, I should get a mirrorless, but I'm Canon. Want to sponsor us and give me a mirrorless?
Do like a whole YouTube video on like, this is why we love it. But it's like, and then you get a mirrorless camera, but then you don't have the money for the mirrorless lenses.
Oh, yeah.
So, and they are interchangeable. You can use a DSLR lens for a mirrorless camera. There's just like a $200. Yeah, and that's what I do. Where I have one mirrorless camera and then a D75 for a Nikon.
I'm holding off. Like, when it's funny because one year I bought the Canon, the Mark III. Yeah. And then I didn't realize they were coming out with the Mark IV. And I was like, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. Really going to wait for that. I waited 8 minutes. I waited 8 minutes when it went live on Amazon. I was like, all right,
Just kidding.
All right.
I need this.
And I love that camera. I love both of those cameras. So, yeah, I can't give them up. They're still my babies. So, tell us how people can find you, because this has been amazing. And I really want our listeners to know how they can find you and what they can learn from you.
Oh, thank you. So, good luck. I mean, if you can at least spell the name, then you can find it on Google, because I'm the only Miranda Eorio ever. But it's
Eorio.
Yes. So you can find me on Facebook, Miranda Eorio Photography. I do have a special group for students. Like I said, that free Facebook group, just to be able to push more information. You can also find me my website, mirandaeorio.com/photographers. That's going to have a lot of, free education that you guys can dive into right away, from videos to workbooks and everything in between. I am also on Instagram, Miranda Eorio Photo. I'm really everywhere. It is too much for me, but Facebook, my website, Instagram, my three major ones that offer the most value to newer photographers.
That's amazing. We will put it in the show notes, so if people didn't write it down. Thank you again. This has been absolutely amazing. And next time I'll have to see that baby of yours, because
yes, absolutely.
They're cute at this age. But I remember my daughter, when someone came over and she was like, and like, do you just want to stare at them all day? And I'm like, no, I want to sleep.
Yeah. He's so cute, but I'm just like, I'm exhausted. I'm ready for a break. So
yeah, that's amazing. So thank you so much. This has been amazing.
Thank you for having me. It's wonderful. And I hope this has helped so many photographers just gain that confidence that they need to start charging profitably, and to honestly just let themselves make those mistakes and not be so stressed out.